So welcome, folks. Yeah, good to be with you. We'll do that thing we do together. Finding your posture, and so natural to predict that the next moment will be a great deal like the last. To expect me the next moment. Some level, our highest priority is not being startled by anicca, that can deaden our experience of our life. Relaxing whatever can be relaxed. We're just practicing being alive, just available to experience moment by moment. Just being kind of internally caressed by your breathing, sort of sweeping, soothing movement. Your breathing, unifying your body, to the imperfections of this moment of our lives. We don't have to say yes to those imperfections forever. But for right now, we can. There's always something wrong, always something we might tweak or adjust or fix or dial in. Let us stop being baited by Mara moment by moment. With each breath, just becoming secluded, If there's a thread of interest, curiosity, kind of passion to know something, anything, just follow that thread of interest. We can't manufacture interest when it's not there, but when it is there, it's maybe the most trustworthy intention for practice. We're practicing noticing new phenomena or familiar phenomena in just slightly new ways. The poetry and aliveness of not knowing or not quite knowing. We expect to find ourselves in the next moment. We're invited to put down these kinds of expectations. So what does it mean to cease reiterating the self? So we breathe, feel our body. sense the quiet. The mind comes infused with Buddha Dharma. We forget ourselves to remember the path. Okay, so some years ago, maybe it's 2018, I think, um, Gil and some others were kind of in the Spirok system were asked to write some brief reflections on Sila, ethical conduct, and and I wrote, they just asked for a couple paragraphs, so I wrote something, and one of the Sangha members was asking about those words, and so I thought to go back and revisit them. So I'll just read what I wrote and then say a few words. So I said, make of yourself a refuge for all beings. The Buddha enjoins us to cultivate this radical heart, a cultivation expressing not only Sila, but samadhi and pañña too. To be safe for others entails a path of self-discovery, humility, sensitivity, and willingness to be softened by one's suffering. Goodness ripens through a process of letting go, and letting go involves a measure of grief. We grieve the harm done to us and the harm done by us. We grieve the human condition, the indivisibility of life and suffering. This process is autobiographical, idiosyncratic, and universal. To be mindful of goodness brings love. To be mindful of pain also brings love. That asymmetry is the miracle. The more attuned we are to our heart and its instant karmic reverberations, the clearer our ethical life will be. The more unified the mind becomes, the deeper the love will be, boundless, nothing but warmth. The effortless care that is the face of emptiness. And we learn unwaveringly. Hatred is never the last word. To see more is to love more. Sila expresses the entire path. And then we begin again. The story we tell about love is never final. New questions, complexities, and debts arise. Might I owe more than I suppose? The ego complicates everything. I want to think of myself as a really good person, and I don't really want to change my behavior. Ethical development stagnates when we rationalize our preferences. It's conceivable that goodness entails much more than even we good people are accustomed to giving. Just because the saint is extremely rare doesn't mean that anything less, strictly speaking, is justifiable. You can imagine in the not distant future a major reconfiguration of our ethical obligations to non-human animals, to the egregious suffering of the most vulnerable around the globe, and to future generations. This is a time for radical hearts. I don't usually feel up to the task, but I am steadfast in keeping a relationship with my own sense of moral incoherence. From that relationship, I hope that I evolve and contribute more of what I owe to the welfare of others. The path unfolds. Then at some point, it's time to die, that final gesture of letting go, which is both deeply poignant and also not such a big deal. Your life was made complete by what you gave away. So you might was asked to write something about Sila, but might enter the doorway of wisdom, find your way to Sila and samadhi. Likewise, there are those people who committed to love and service, to Sila, who maybe without knowing their existence just quietly find their way into more and more wisdom and stillness. And this is part of why Dharma talks, not, they just don't tend to stay on one theme. If you like sampled 5 seconds of 1,000 Dharma seed talks, it would be hard to know what the topic was, in each one, because it just weaves together. You cannot talk about love without talking about wisdom. And so to be a refuge, to cease doing so much harm, that entails a measure of clarity and attunement, of sensitivity and humility, of tracking the ways our being ripples out into others. And there must be a kind of, I've been kind of circumambulating this theme for a long time, but Being Wrong, that book Catherine Schultz wrote many years ago. But gracefulness about having been wrong is just indispensable in our moral evolution and our evolution as practitioners. And this process by which we grow, this process by which we recognize some measure of that we were wrong in some way. That process uh, often feels like something like grieving, and the growing pains of Dharma feel like grieving. But we need not be so afraid of pain when we've acquired the taste for purification. And it's amazing to feel we actually get a sense of it happening inside us, almost alchemically. I don't know how to say it exactly, but unpleasant Vedana, the intensity, the imperfection of life becoming the Brahma Viharas, becoming some species of love. And it strikes me that something like solid, liquid, gas, pain, grief, love. It's one Dharma talk for 100 people. The Dharma is said to be universal, right? But almost a kind of infinite number of constellations of upaya, skillful means. And what is wisdom for one is delusion for another. And the way that delusion often manifests is not doing the opposite of what the Buddha says, but delusion expresses itself when we reach for the wrong teaching, when we try maybe to fit our practice into someone else's mind, into some ideal. So much of practice is a kind of sensitive, improvisational way of being. And so you're not assimilating to some Buddhist culture. You're finding your belonging within the Dharma. It's idiosyncratic and yet feels exactly like home. this love can stabilize, can linger with us, is never far, never far, animates our daily rhythms. And I don't know, I'm not my sleep is not lucid, you know, I'm a dumb sleeper, kind of. I know some people are in dream yoga and various things and lucid dreaming. Yeah, beautiful, right? It's not my experience. I don't know if I could train myself, but if you woke up in a dream, a lucid dream, it would be, I presume, very easy to love almost recklessly, the sense of being conscious of being in a dream and to feel, as I imagine I would, that love is utterly cost-free. And what happens if we wake up in our life and it becomes more dreamlike? What shape would your love take? The story we tell about love is never final. The story we tell about love evolves. And we're suggestible. When in Bachelor's rendition, it's like it's hard to hear the Dharma when you love your place. And loving one's place, I would say, is part of it is being a person of our time. Of course, we're all people of our time, but we're incredibly suggestible, morally speaking. Even when we call ourselves radical, we take on many of the dominant values of the culture. And so part of our practice is developing kind of deep moral imagination. This line from theologian Heschel that I quote sometimes, the prophet is human, yet they employ notes one octave too high for our ears. They experience moments that defy our understanding. They are neither a singing saint nor a moralizing poet, but an assaulter of the mind. Often their words begin to burn where conscience ends. The philosopher Parfit said, we're separated, in a kind of philosophical inquiry into identity, came to the sense of that we're separated from our future selves by time, separated by fellow humans, by space. And why does the separation across time matter so much more than separation across space? It sounds harsh maybe, but the phrase that came to me is that the ego makes liars of us all, just liars. That's not to inject a measure of self, the Dharma self conquering the ego or something like that. I know it's strong language, but the truth just seems absolutely meaningless to the ego. And in a sense, it's only when we wake up to love, we only wake up to love when the homelessness of ego is realized, grieved, released. And this seems to me, for me, it's the only way that my life might feel complete. The end, it's like otherwise, even 1,000 years would feel like I'm being robbed of something. So what would be complete for your heart? What would be a complete life? The sense of this life was enough. This life was enough. And so we practice completing our life. We practice dying before we die. Offer this for your consideration. So thank you for your attention. And yeah, I'll see you next week. And I dropped a line for questions in I think the description. I just chatted it in too, and so it's there. If you have questions, it's questions, comments, complaints. The Dharma customer service desk is open at that Google form. So uh, yeah, maybe I'll take a question next time. But I wish you all well. Thanks very much.